Hey everybody, Spartan here from SpartanTrading.com. I wanted to hit you guys today with just some basics, in this case reading a summary report of a stock or a ticker. So let's go to a website like FinViz, and when you would search a ticker or a stock, a company, you would find there would be a summary report of the stock and some information about the price, etc., etc. Now, what does all this stuff mean? So let's kind of go over this stuff. It is basics, but if you are just starting out and no one has explained it to you, it may be a little bit confusing. So let's kind of go through each thing. The previous close price would be the close price of the stock the last day. So at the end of the market hours of the previous day, this is where that price was. On Friday, today's Monday, on Friday the stock closed at 152.29. The open would be the opening price of today, and we can see that the opening price was lower than the previous close price. The stock market gapped down, so in the after hours and in the pre-market, the price of Apple, or the stock price of Apple, did decrease, and when the market opened up at 9:30 Eastern, you can see that's where the price was. The bid and the ask are basically buys and sells. So the bid is where people are buying, the ask is where people are selling. Bid, buy, ask, sell, just to remember it easily. There's typically it's in between, the price will be in between the bid and the ask. Typically what you'll see is the bid is always going to be obviously lower than the ask, and that's where people are trying to buy the stock cheaper than the price, and the ask is going to be where obviously people are trying to sell the stock a little bit more expensive than the price at that given point in time. The day's range is the high and the low, so the highest point and the lowest price that stock traded within during the day, during the market hours. So in this case, Apple had a high of $151.27, so $151.27, and a low of $149.22. So this gives you the range that stock traded within during the day. Obviously we can say that the higher the range, the more volatile that stock price is, and that is something that people do look for, and we'll talk about that in just a second again. 52-week range is the high and the low that the stock traded within a 1 year period. And in this case, 52-week range is $142 and $233.47. How can we use this? Well, basically, if we're breaking a 52-week range to the downside, we could say that, okay, there's, obviously it's a bearish, it's a bearish time for the stock in terms of there could be continuation to the downside, making new lows, or if it's breaking the 52-week range to the upside, we can say it's breaking out of a 1 year range to the upside, and we could see continuation higher. Volume is the actual amount of times a share changed hands during the day today. So we can see 32 million shares traded hands during the day. The average volume is the average volume per day during market hours of Apple, and we can see that today's volume was lower than the average volume, so we could say that liquidity wasn't as great as it typically is on average for Apple. Market cap is the amount of underlying shares that are outstanding times the market price of Apple, and in this case it would be equal to about $709 billion. The beta is a measure of volatility. So the higher the beta, when beta is above 1 and you get it to the 2 or 3 range, the higher the beta, the more volatile the stock is. So the higher the amount of day range that the stock will be trading within, the price action on higher beta stocks is a little bit more violent. Lower beta stocks, it's less violent, and that is notable. If you do like to trade, things that are very active and they're moving fast, maybe a higher beta name's for you. If you don't like to be trading something like that and it's a little bit too volatile, a lower beta would obviously be the better fit. The PE ratio is just the price per earnings ratio, and this is one of the fundamental measures that people do use to look to see how cheap the stock is relative to their earnings. In this case, we could say that a PE ratio, typically a PE ratio under 20 is a fairly good valuation and it is cheap. It does not mean that, it's definitely a buy or it's definitely a sell, anything like that. It's just one of the tools that people use to measure the valuation of a company. EPS is the earnings per share. So the EPS is the portion of the company's profit allocated to each share of common stock, and this is again another indicator of the company's profitability and possibly used to understand kind of a valuation or place a valuation on a stock. The earnings date, obviously that's just when the earnings are going to be coming out. So we can see earnings for Apple will be coming out January 29th. Forward dividend and yield. So this is forward looking at the dividend of Apple, and we can see, obviously it's right there per share. So $2.92 per share. And the ex-dividend date is the last date that dividends were paid out. So 2018 11/08 ex-dividend date, that's when the dividends were paid out last. 1 year target estimate, this is an average estimate of all the analysts' price targets, and you can see that right there. It's the 1 year target estimate. So that is a basic look at the summary of a stock and understanding kind of what these things are individually. If you guys do have questions, you can reach out to me at spartantrading.com or go to our website and click on the contact us area and send us a message. Thanks guys, and I hope you have a good rest of the day today.